I now have the honor and privilege and pleasure of introducing José Olivarez. And I believe José is on with us. I heard about José for a long time. José is an author, a renowned author, a world-class poet, but also a truth teller and someone who is able to inspire and provoke critical thinking, and critical consciousness. He is got a remarkable story. He wrote a book called Citizen Illegal. I went on and watched all his YouTube stuff over the last week or two, and I haven't been able to sleep, José, because I got you ringing in my head. I'm an amateur, a low-level poet, so I really appreciate you being here. I know you've had personal. You're a PBHA alum, and you worked in SUP's Key Latch program when you were undergrad at Harvard. Thank you for being here tonight. José is going to share both his thoughts about SUP and some of his spoken word pieces and whatever other knowledge, wisdom, and soulful energy you want to drop on us. So thank you, José.
José, it's great to see you. I'm going to let you take the stage, and I'm going to head off for now.
Nice to see you, Maria. Charlie, thank you for the introduction. I really enjoyed the little piece that you did earlier, encouraging people to donate. That was really wonderful. So I'm honored to be here. Whenever Maria asks me to do anything, and whenever I can offer any support or donate to SUP, my answer is always yes, in a heartbeat. For those of you who don't know me, my name is José Guadalupe Olivarez. I'm Harvard class of 2010. I was a Key Latch summer program senior counselor after my freshman year of college, and then a director in 2008, and a director and a senior counselor in 2010. So I spent a lot of time in Key Latch and in Villa Victoria. That program is really near and dear to my heart. What it taught me was that the work that we do is work that is in partnership with people, right? And it really taught me to think a little bit deeper about what that word meant. What do we mean when we say partnership? Do we mean that we are simply attempting to offer answers to people, that we are bringing our own conceptions of people's communities and lives and attempting to offer solutions? Or does it mean that we're really engaging with them and asking questions and allowing them to lead the way? And so for me, Key Latch, both as a senior counselor and then as a program director, was really where I learned to put my own ego aside and really learn to listen. And that's something that I've carried with me in everything that I've done, from being a teaching artist in Chicago and in New York City to, writing poems and thinking about what it means to be writing about people that I love. So with that being said, I'm going to share a poem that I wrote. It's called "My Family Never Finished Migrating, We Just Stopped." I wrote it because so often the narratives about immigration to the United States make it seem as though the United States is inevitable or is some type of heaven. And for me, the thing that I always think about is my parents would have gone anywhere. They would have, they ended up in Chicago. They would have gone to Canada. They would have gone to Antarctica. Like and I also imagine that for us, perhaps migration is not over with. Perhaps we will have to migrate again. So I wrote this poem trying to kind of think about other ways to think through immigration narratives, migration narratives. This is "My family never finished migrating, we just stopped. We invented cactus. To survive the winters, we invented steel. At my dad's mill, I saw a man dressed like a Martian walk straight into the fire. The flames licked his skin, but like a pet, it never bit him. In the desert, they find our baseball caps, our empty water bottles, but never our bodies. Even the best ICE agents can't track us through the storms, but I have a theory. Some of our cousins don't care about LA or Chicago. They build a sanctuary underneath the sand, under the skin we shed, so we can wear the desert like a cobija, under the bones of our loved ones, bones worn thin as thorns to terrorize blue agents, bones worn thin as guitar strings, so when the wind blows, we can follow the music home. Yes, yes.
You can hear the snaps through the Zoom.
I can feel it. I can feel
Yeah.
it for sure. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you. Jose, when did you start writing poetry?
I started writing poetry when I was 15 years old as a sophomore in high school.
And where you were in high school in Chicago?
In Calumet City, Illinois, in the south suburbs of Chicago.
Ah, okay. My wife's from Barrington, the northern suburbs.
Yes, yes.
But I've never really been to the suburbs. And okay, so based on the odds, your parents are Mexican and came to this country, and then you ended up at Harvard. Talk about that a little bit and how Kelatch and SUP helped, or how that was a part of your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was the first person in my family to go to college. I was the first person from my high school, TF North High School in Calumet City, Illinois, a public high school, to go to Harvard. And now when I arrived, I thought that there was something special about me. And what I learned when I was there was, that it wasn't so much that I was special. The longer I'm, around young people of all ages, and the more experience I have, the longer I live, the older I get, the more I realize that I'm not special at all, really. Like, the circumstances kind of lined up for me to go to Harvard, for me to kind of achieve in a certain way that, for example, like my younger brothers didn't necessarily have that same chance. So for me, that helped me kind of understand that it wasn't so much like going to a place like Harvard is not just about extraordinary individual achievement. It is about like coordinated systems, right? And so I was the first person from my high school to go to Harvard, but there were a bunch of students from like Phillips Exeter Academy who went to Harvard, right? And it wasn't that those kids were any smarter than the kids who were my classmates. It's just that they had, programs that were developed that were aimed at getting them to that place. So anyway, I ended up at Harvard. And as you can probably already tell, immediately felt very alienated in a lot of different spaces because, like I said, there's not a lot of people whose parents, worked in steel mills or worked as janitors like my parents did. And so when I tell the story about my time at college, I always say that I graduated from the University of PBHA. That was really where I met my community. That was really where, people kind of challenged me and saw me not just as, an affirmative action kid that was just adding to whatever, but as like someone who was really ready to be rigorously kind of developed as a person and who was kind of, who could contribute to community. So for me, PBHA was my family and, played a huge role in my time at the university.
I love that. Jose Guadalupe Olivarez. My brother, you have a lot of humility, and we're all special and we're all not special, but you have a gift. So before you drop some more bars, if you would, a couple more pieces would be great. But I'm curious about your artistic influences. Who has influenced you?
I have a lot of artistic influences. Like I said, I grew up just outside of Chicago, so the first two to come to mind for me are always Sandra Cisneros and Gwendolyn Brooks, both incredible poets who were also very community driven. Miss Brooks for a long time taught poetry workshops on the south side of Chicago, and Sandra Cisneros was one of her students. And so for me, when I think about my artistic lineages, it is an artistic lineage as well as like a continued commitment to education.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for saying that. And that tree, that seeds that you're going to be people saying that about you. People already are, I'm sure, but that's going to be happening. I'll guarantee it. Do you have another piece or two for us?
Yeah, for sure. I'll read another poem. I'm trying to, think of poems that kind of fit. So I'll read this. This poem is called Gentrification. This poem was inspired by a friend of mine, Nate Marshall. We were at a bar together in Chicago back when you could do those sorts of things in a gentrifying neighborhood. And Nate turned to me and he was like, "Yo, Jose, we're gentrifying the bar right now." And I was like, wow. That sounds great. Let's gentrify everywhere. So this poem is called Gentrification. I plant a grain of sand in the new organic juice spot en el barrio. Soon donkeys poop big stinky poops on carrot containers. Our tios y tias smoking cigarettes and taking up all the plugs. The grain of sand grows into a cactus and mi abuelita Jacinta is back with the living. She's kicking the juicers out of the kitchen and making masa. The whole block heard what's happening, and outside the hydrants open and flood the streets. The bad news is the property value is going down again. The good news is my boy Nate is teaching poetry workshops in the shade. Gwendolyn Brooks smelled the tamales and came down to write. Rejoice in the good news. My dad comes through with a cooler of beer, and no one gets drunk enough to fight. My mom's French braid gets longer every minute. Soon it will be long enough to toss to our cousins in Mexico, in LA, in Texas. There are Mexicans in DC who got the call. Salvadorians bringing pupusas. From the cactus, we get a steel mill. From the steel mill, we get more tortillas. The bad news is the economists say there is zero economic value on the block. The good news is we threw away the economics textbooks. We trade tortillas for haircuts, nopales for healthcare, poems for groceries, and if all you can do is eat the food, we ask that you wash your dishes. The donkeys bless everything we grow. From the tortillas, we get more desert, and from the desert, we get lowriders. Cars bounce, our cousins and gangs get their bendiciones. The whole block is alive and not for sale. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo rescinded. It's happening on our block, and maybe it's happening on your block. The bad news is the president sends a national reserve. The good news is they'll never find us. We pack everything into the trunk of a Toyota Corolla. When La Migra comes, their dogs bark and spit, but all they find is grains of sand.
Wow. So I got one. Gentrification is better for our nation than gentrification. We appreciate your dedication and your cooperation as you drop us knowledge and edification.
Wow, freestyle. Let's go.
Oh, yeah,
come on, Charlie.
I was hip before hip hop, man. I grew up in Manhattan, the Lower East Side. I'll be 63 in a couple months, but I'm still trying to, I'm trying to get like you. I got the haircut and everything. Hey, Jose, appreciate you. I would ask before we move on, I would ask you if you have any words. You're an alumni of PBHA. Any words of encouragement or for other alumni of PBHA, many of whom are on the call or on Facebook Live tonight?
Yeah. That's hard because sometimes I don't have words of encouragement for myself. I think what I try to tell myself is that in a lot of ways, these are unprecedented times. At least I've never experienced anything quite like this. And so I try to be gentle with myself. And I also try to let go of, I see some people wanting to get back to normal, but normal was also filled with all of these divides that Maria and other people have already spoken towards, right? So for me, it's not necessarily about a return to normal that I'm trying to think about, but an imagining of what I want the new normal to look like, right? An imagining of what I want the future to open up like. And so for me, that's kind of what's helping me. I hope it helps all my fellow alumni. And of course, my other piece of advice, Charlie, is to donate if you can. Donate to SUP. It's important that we keep supporting young people, that we support the junior counselors, the program directors, the senior counselors, and everyone involved in making this great program work.
Wow, thank you, Jose. I appreciate you, and I hope to meet you in person at some point soon. you know, one of my mentors said, the most powerful leadership tool you have is your own personal example, and you embody that. And so we're grateful. We're grateful for your time tonight. We're grateful for the work you do. We're grateful for your artistic motivation and your artistic empowerment. You're an empowering person. So thank you. And thank you for supporting SUP and being in the trenches. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. One day we'll get to rap in person, Charlie. I hope so.
That'll be great. That'll be great. I look forward to that. Seriously. Thank you again.
Thank you, Charlie.
All right, man. Take care. Peace.
You too.